Avoid most submissions from the bottom. Many submissions from your guard can be risky against a much larger opponent and are often wise to be avoided because a big opponent will have a lot of weight and size available to defend. And if you aren't successful with the submission, you may lose position completely as you lose the submission. Triangles are a great example. An escaped triangle often leads to a guard pass, and it's often hard to lock up a triangle on someone with such a broad back and shoulders. I'll attempt them on big guys only for my own ego and the challenge of it, but it doesn't always work out great, and I'm forced to use some late guard retention. But often I do know better. Like here, I could throw my leg up for a triangle, but I don't, as I know my guard will be passed in the process. It was likely a trap, and I didn't take the bait. Arm bars too can be tough, as it can be difficult to get full extension on the arm against a strong arm and gravity working against you, although not impossible. It's often wiser to first sweep or take the back and then submit. Of course, this isn't true for all submissions. For some submissions from the bottom, if they escape, you're not at risk of the guard pass as they do. A guillotine, for example. The worst case if you lose it is often they just pop their head out, but triangles especially are very risky against big guys. Triangles are a much safer bet against someone your own size. Post preemptively or be ready to post. Big grapplers are often strong enough to reverse you using only their arms, whereas us mere mortals have to utilize both our arms and legs to take someone from top position to bottom position. This is why against a larger opponent, it can be wise to not overly commit your grips and weight to them, and instead post your hands on the mat preemptively. That way you're ready if they try to reverse you, as you already have posts in place. When you do grip, you should always be ready to abandon the grip in favor of a post. You want to hover over top of them, ready to transition, and approach advancing position cautiously and slowly. You especially shouldn't rush entering into mount, as they can use that forward momentum against you to reverse you. Here I got too impatient and I paid the price. Knee on belly is a great tool to utilize because you can control them without fully committing your arms to them, and without fully committing your body weight to them and risk being reversed. You float on them and take what's available. In general, the more you can transition and move yourself rather than fight against your opponent's movements, the less that strength and size will play a factor. Keep your feet in front. Against larger opponents, using guards which position your feet in front of them work the best for keeping their weight the furthest possible distance away from you. For example, guards like collar and sleeve, spider guard, and lasso, they need to clear the feet first before they can drop their weight down closer to you, and you can't let them do that. You need to be active in your guard and sweep them or take their back before they can. Whether you can't position your feet in front of them because they're doing a good job from stopping you, or you're doing no-gi, as there's not a lot of guards in no-gi that allow for this, the next best thing would be keeping your knees in front of them. Both your feet and knees/shins are examples of frames. Feet provide more distance than knees, which is why in my Jiu-Jitsu theory course, I label the feet as layer 1 of defense and the knees as layer 2. They're both defensive, but the feet are more defensive. Guards where you have no frames in place, or even worse, no frames in place and they have dominant grips on you, are the worst place to be in your guard against a big guy. Against someone of similar size, you can forego frames and often be just fine, but against a big guy, feet in front of them should be priority, because again, it keeps their biggest asset away from you, their weight. And now a quick word from the sponsor of today's video, Element. If you train Jiu-Jitsu a lot, you probably often suffer from fatigue and muscle cramps. These issues used to bother me as well, so much so that it would make training difficult for me. Now the main reason that this happens is due to a loss of electrolytes through sweat, primarily sodium. And when sodium isn't adequately replaced, that's when those muscle cramps and fatigue kick in. Which is why I started drinking Element. Element is a tasty electrolyte drink mix with 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium. This bold yet simple formula is based off the latest scientific literature and evidence gathered from coaching tens of thousands of clients. Plus it's used by everyone from NBA players, Olympic athletes, Navy SEALs, to everyday exercise enthusiasts. And right now, Element is offering my listeners a free sample pack with any order. That's 8 single serving packets free with any order. This is a great way to try all 8 flavors or share Element with a salty friend. Get yours at drinkelement.com/JordanTeaches. And for a limited time, Element is offering a chocolate medley that features chocolate mint, chocolate chai, and chocolate raspberry, which are designed to be enjoyed hot. This deal is only available through my link. You must go to drinkelementtea.com/JordanTeaches. Turtle/get to your knees. If your guard is in the process of being passed, you definitely do not want a larger opponent to settle in side control with all their weight on top of you. Staying off your back and instead going to your knees to turtle is a much safer option. Turtle is much better than side control against big guys because unlike side control, in turtle you're not pinned down to the mat and you have significantly more mobility to escape. You just need to be smart and not let them grip within your inside position, which is true for both side control and turtle, but it's way easier to deny access to your inside position in turtle against a big guy than it is in side control. What I mean is, it's easier to deny access to the seatbelt grip and prevent your back from being taken than it is to prevent the crossface and underhook in side control, which is the seatbelt grip in reality just from top position. Because in turtle, you need to close off space by staying tight and deny their grips, while in side control, you need to actively keep those grips away using frames, which is a much more physically exhausting thing to do. Additionally, most big guys are more comfortable attacking from positions such as side control and mount than they are the back. This is because generally big guys tend to be slower but stronger than someone who is smaller. The smaller person is usually faster but weaker in comparison, and taking backs often require more speed than taking mounts or side control. In my Jiu-Jitsu theory course, I go over how defensively you either need your frames facing your opponent or facing the mat, and turtle is a great example of your frames facing towards the mat. When you're in some trouble, even if you don't go to turtle, getting to your knees is often a smart idea. For example, here I get taken down, and immediately I get to my knees and I'm able to take the back. If I were to have settled with my back on the mat, I surely would have been screwed. Same here, I lose position, and if I were to stay here, then it wouldn't have been much fun with this big guy on top of me. But I get to my knees and then my feet, and then hit this pretty slick knee bar. Fake guard pull ankle pick. Taking down big guys is a hard thing to do. Often when you shoot for a lower body takedown, it feels like you just hit a brick wall. Or you try for an upper body takedown and they don't move an inch. Or you even have trouble wrapping your arms around them in the first place. My go-to every single time against a big guy is always the fake guard pull ankle pick. Take a collar grip and pretend to pull guard by raising your foot to their hip. This will entice them to step forward as they're anticipating the guard pull, and now their ankle is within reach of you gripping it. This is definitely my #1 takedown against big guys. Ankle picks in general are great against big guys, but the fake guard pull makes it easier because they step forward, which is where you need them. Primarily it's done in the gi, but it is possible in no gi. Don't let them lock up defensive grips. Just because you have someone in an armbar or kimura or similar submissions, it doesn't mean that the battle is over yet. In many cases, you still need to break their defensive grips. I'm pretty confident in my ability to break armbar defensive grips, but against this big dude, I could tell as soon as he locked up his hands that breaking his grips would be pretty unlikely. I tried anyways and lost position. That's why you need to prevent your opponent from locking up defensive grips. The same is true for any opponent, but especially big guys. Even with perfect technique, you still might fail if the strength difference is substantial. As you enter these submissions, use whatever you can to stop them from locking their hands up. For example, placing your foot on the bicep when entering an armbar. This takes away their ability to lock their hands by keeping their hands out of reach of each other. Cupping their hands around their fingers is a great tool too. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, as they say. Careful when inverting. A big guy has a lot of weight to them, and your neck can only take so much weight. I spent a lot of my blue belt years inverting against any and everyone, despite the objection from some of my coaches, and now my neck hurts more often than it doesn't. I still invert nowadays, and I'm able to keep myself safe. I do this by only inverting as long as needed. The longer you wait, the longer they have to settle their weight. So my advice is just be careful and stay safe. Make sure you watch this video that I made. It's called How to Not Get Smashed. Everything in it I could have just copied and pasted to create more tips for this video, but I didn't. Everything in it is especially important against big guys, so go watch it. Alright, thank you for sticking around till the end of the video. If you're still here, please leave a comment or a fist bump, and I'll see you guys next time.